We got us a corpse and cartridge occasion.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to talk about this string of tweets that came from Majin Obama, where he's talking about players' expectations of Tekken 8 Season 3, back to basics. And he's also talking about Tekken content creators, the brain rot that is kind of infecting the overall player base, right? A lot of people make a tier list. A lot of people have ideas of what they want for balance. You guys will see a tier list from me pretty soon where I'm kind of just giving my general ideas of some characters because people wanted a tier list out of me. So you guys will see that soon. But for right now, we're going to talk about this tweet. The first one says, heading into Tekken 8 Season 3, there is an expectation of a single patch to make or break the game. Realistically, for a game like Tekken 8 and how Tekken gets adjusted, that's not how this works. Truth. Gonna take a lot of good adjustments and they aren't going to be able to do it in one patch. Here's the thing, right? The Tekken developers should say that if that is the truth. Right now, the players' expectations is for the back to basic update to fix everything. That's how they market it. That's how they are selling it. If that's not true, then they should say it, because right now the whole players are expecting that one update to do it. And also, I would say that it's a proper expectation to have. In Season 1, going to Season 2, they did 1,500 changes, and a lot of those made the game worse. So if you were to do 500 changes, the assumption is that that would move the bar very far back in the right direction. I've been having these discussions with the chat of like, what is back to basics? To show you kind of what I mean, here's a tweet from Speedkicks which says, the funny part about that back to basics sting is that it triggered everyone to imagine different things. So there is a guaranteed incoming disappointed majority. An example is, if there's 5 different expectations and only one is right, then 4 people are disappointed. But we've seen with the trailer alone where they have stances still in the game. That's still going to be there. So when they say back to the basics, what do they actually mean? Saying that the truth is that they're not going to be able to do it in one patch, one would argue doing so many changes to the game should push it very far in the right direction. But then also, if they aren't going to be able to fix it in one patch, then they should do multiple patches a year instead of doing one patch that doesn't really do anything. A single patch make or break the game. Realistically, a game like Tekken gets adjusted. That's not how it works. You can say that it's not how it works, like the game doesn't really fix itself based off one update, and that's true, but I think that they kind of are in a dire situation and they need to do that. They need this update to be very good. A lot of players want to play Tekken. A lot of players love Tekken. But I just rage quit it with Tekken because just the onslaught of attacks is too much. It's too easy to be super aggressive, and it's very difficult and time consuming to be defensive. And this is why you hear a lot of pro players say that, like, don't try to sit back and play defense. Just rush your opponent down with offense. It's the most easiest and effective way to play. And back to basics should be addressing that. Next tweet. Tekken content brain rot has a lot of people micro-focusing on character changes and tiers. But what is actually more important here and now is how balanced teams show their commitment to the vision of battle balance and system mechanics tuning side. This should be the priority of 2026. I don't agree with the whole Tekken content brain rot. I don't know why there's a lot of people trying to frame the discussion of balance in the worst way possible. I don't think that that's helpful to the whole entire thing. But then when people focus on characters and tiers, I personally think the tier list thing is just like something to do that's fun, because mostly when you see these tier lists, the whole roster of characters is spread across 3. S plus, S, and then like A plus. So it's not really even a true traditional tier list system where you go from S all the way to C. That's another point. But then also focusing on individual characters as well is something that I generally don't do. I think there is some specifics you can talk about, like, individual installs, individual, plus frame moves, and heat enhanced attack, flash, long block. Well, you can get character specific, but that's not what's going to truly fix this game. What's universally going to fix this game is battle, balance, and system mechanics. Like, a lot of people also talk about how Heatbound shouldn't be possible. They also talk about, how the heat smashes should work on whiff and on hit. So people are having these discussions about individual characters as well as overall changes, because both things was pushed very far in season 2. Let me start over, because I know if I just continue reading the whole comment section, it's gonna be like, oh, he's reading. What does back to basic mean? I guess we'll find out. I just hope we can get good adjustments, roadmap to tailor expectations. Didn't they release a roadmap and it's only listed the DLC characters pretty much? They didn't have anything else on there. So I think a roadmap and communication about whether or not there will be future updates will be cool as well, because they said they're doing this one update and then the tour starts, so we don't really know what happens after that besides like Bob and Roger, right? I imagine Tekken 8 is now post honeymoon phase where the community is more or less established and maintaining. Ideally, the game gets more tuned state. The honeymoon phase is basically like the arcade period where people are like, oh, you give it a break. The games usually are in arcades and they have a year or two to fix it. Really, all of that stopped with season 2. The people who are like the most delusional are carrying that mindset into season 3. But like I said, when you do 1,500 changes and you radically overhaul the way that the game played, the whole arcade debate is done for. With season 3, it will most certainly be done. At that point, we're on the later half of the lifespan, right? We're crossing over 2 years. A lot of people are expecting this game to last 4 or 5 years. So we're crossing that halfway point. So the arcade argument doesn't really last anymore. But then also the community is maintaining, and it is pretty established. People were watching the Steam count drop, and now it's been hovering ever since. And then also when we have the other website, EWGF, we can see that the player base is at a consistent 250,000 players weekly. Season 3, if they make all the right changes, it could be even more popular, and we can see these numbers rise up. And really, this is the true reason why people are given all of the feedback that they are, because there's a lot of people say like, oh, these guys are, doom farming, these guys are hate farming. But a lot of people are really just fans of the game. And when they see the game slowly slipping, they pull their hair out, because it's like they feel like they're the only ones seeing it. I wanted to add this tweet to the video as well. This comes from Zane, and it is a response to what Majin Obama said. Tekken 8 commerce shouldn't be allowed to speak critically on Tekken, because what he actually meant is speak critically on people that speak critically on Tekken 8. So complain about people who complain. One is because they don't even play the game, just watch, because that's what most of them can only do. Now, some of them are really good at the game, but then yeah, some of them, they're just like kind of like spectators of the sport, which is a really good thing. But when you're criticizing people who spend most of their time playing the game and it's like their life to play the game, it's kind of different. You can say make some noise whether or not the game is trash or good. And then 2, they know Bandai Namco will cut people off that's publicly criticize the game, then beg on Twitter for their jobs back. You will have a commentator criticize everyone else for criticizing the game, but then won't speak up when one of their own people do it and get punished for it. Zane adds in and says, you are compromised. Next and final tweet. Ideally, the game gets to a more tuned state and can be repackaged with several seasons of characters and relaunched. This is what people were also saying as well, is that season 3 should be like a repackage of the game. Tekken 7 had Fate of Retribution, Tekken 5 had Dark Resurrection, even Tekken Tag Tournament 2 had an Ultimate Edition with a good guest character to headline. To get the game another marketing cycle facing mainstream circles, I agree as well. A guest character would stir up the mainstream conversation and break outside of just Tekken and the FGC. This is why I'd be against a lot of ideas, because these ideas wouldn't really break through the surface. It would more so just make the people who's already playing the game happy. And that's not really what a guest character is for. It can be for that, but the primary role for a guest character is to reach above and beyond. I wonder if in the game market economy, an older style full title version up Tekken 8R can work. I think if they announced that they were selling a new version of Tekken 8 that had all of the characters, all of the DLC, all of the stages, and it was a separate price, like it was like, here, give us 70 more bucks, I think the people who already have base Tekken 8 would riot. I don't think you could do here's Tekken 5, here's Dark Resurrection. Maybe it would though. What are the comments saying? Here we go with excuses again. Let's just unrelease the game. The game is trash. Harada is gone. Ain't no saving it. Spaghetti Rip in the comment section. I don't think a lot of people expect the game to be fixed immediately with a single patch, whether character or system changes. The most important thing that changes that are made fall in line with the direction of the majority of the community have been talking about since season 1. In that case, people certainly will be more patient and excited for future patches. That's the important thing, right? We're not expecting everything to be fixed in one update. We are expecting, a lot of this garbage that's been talked about. And he's saying season 1, but I even go back to the betas. I even go back to the early testing and tournaments. They had that whole year as well of feedback and they ignored it. Just give us some of that. And then we can see what the game looks like, right? Allow us to move, allow us to space, allow us to create opportunities, allow moves to whiff. And if they just reduced a little bit of this stuff and allowed you to breathe on the defensive side of the game, it probably will be great. Because there's characters in the game that are a little weaker that does that, and it's a fun experience. The fact that the players have so little faith in the game, so little faith in the developers, and they're just requesting like bare minimum things, it just shows how unfulfilling each prior patch has been since the game came out. Now more than ever, the players need a W, like a true W, something they can celebrate and be proud of.